All right, so remember when CDOT got hacked and its computers held for ransom? Investigators now think it was Iranians. Denver wants to become the first American city with a supervised drug injection site. A Canadian city has one, and their overdose deaths are increasing. Confusion at the state capitol means there are two people hired to do the same job. I'm curious whether we're paying both of them at once. And this Frontier Airlines flyer couldn't help but wonder about this.
I was basically on a wing and a prayer.
Please fasten your seatbelt, turn off your electronic devices, and tape up your airplane window. Next is Ready for Takeoff. Who in the world hacked CDOT's computer system and held it for ransom? Who in the world, indeed? Prosecutors now think it was Iranians. A grand jury in New Jersey indicted 2 men from Iran for hacking CDOT along with 200 other organizations. That day, CDOT sent out a panicked all-caps email warning for all their employees to turn off their computers. And then the state refused to pay the ransom, though our Marshall Zellinger found out what it really cost.
The hack of the Colorado Department of Transportation computers in February locked workers out of their email, architectural designs, payroll, and contract systems.
This did not breach into traffic operations, luckily.
But it did cost a lot to fix.
It was ranging between $1.5 million and $2 million.
Dan Sanangelo is the chief operating officer for the state's Office of Information Technology, which needed 1 month to get CDOT systems to 80%. 2 months to get back to normal.
The 4 weeks, many of us sat in this command center day and night, just wanting, to hear that we know where it is, we've got it contained.
Sanangelo found out today that a New Jersey grand jury has indicted 2 Iranian men believed to have hacked CDOT, as well as the city of Atlanta, the city of Newark, LabCorp, the University of Calgary, and a number of hospitals. In all, 200 victims gave up more than $6 million in Bitcoin ransom.
We would not consider paying a ransom, knowing or thinking about where that money may be going, and if you're funding any other type of criminal activity, which is in this scenario very likely, it's something that you try and steer away from. If you pay the ransom, you may not even get access to your data. You may not get anything in return.
He won't say how much the hackers wanted from us, but the $2 million it cost to fix could have been saved if the hack happened in March.
A week later, we had security controls that we were planning to implement. If this had happened a week or even a week and a half later, this would likely not have occurred or provided the impact that it did.
Come on, hackers, didn't you know that? I know. I did the math, Kyle. $6 million in the ransom that was collected by the suspects divided by the 200 victims. That's an average of about $30,000 in Bitcoin. So unclear if that's about the amount that they wanted from CDOT. So where did the $2 million come from for the state to fix it? Well, that's emergency funds for the technology office, and it covered the man hours, some data, and the food to feed the round-the-clock operation.
I wouldn't have even thought about that. But the state has been clear. They are taking the full Liam Neeson approach that they will not pay ransom if this happens again.
They don't want to set a precedent, and they don't want to fund illegal activity.
Yep, we call that the Liam Neeson. All right. Thank you, Marshall. Denver just needs state approval now to open up a supervised injection site for people who use drugs like heroin. Supporters on city council will point to a similar one of these sites in Vancouver, Canada. It's the only other one in North America. Look closely, though, at Vancouver, as our Anusha Roy did, and you see a complicated picture.
The plans for Denver mirror what's already happening in Vancouver, BC, and Canada.
Any of the other big radical changes that have happened in society, this is going to be one for this generation.
And while the state still has to waive a nuisance ordinance, the Denver City Council approved one of their own for a supervised site where people can use drugs with trained staff nearby to help if someone overdoses. Parts of that ordinance are shaped around what they learned from British Columbia, where similar sites have already saved lives.
Since they opened, not a single death has been reported at either of those types of sites province-wide.
But the coroner's office says this is far from a perfect solution. They're still battling stigma and people hesitant to come in. Across British Columbia, more people are dying from overdoses than 2 years ago.
And into 2018, we anticipate we're going to see over 1,500 deaths.
Most of those deaths are linked to fentanyl, a potent synthetic opioid also showing its face in Colorado. Fentanyl has been linked to 81 deaths in 2017, double from 2015, according to the State Department of Health.
If they actually visited these sites with me, they would see the transformation.
Denver City Councilman Albus Brooks said locally people would be able to test for fentanyl at the supervised site before using, and someone would be nearby to help if they overdose. Before the state has made any decisions, the feds are already weighing in. In a New York Times op-ed, the Deputy Attorney General said these kinds of injection sites would be illegal under federal law.
And we are already seeing one city get snarled in a lot of legal limbo. We're talking about Seattle, interested in safe injection sites, but already hearing from the U.S. Attorney's Office there that no way, they're not for this at all. So we're still waiting to hear from our U.S. Attorney's Office. They're looking over this ordinance. But when we talked to Albus Brooks, one of the main forces behind this, he said we will cross that bridge if it ever comes to that point here in Denver.
So that could be a roadblock. Seems like liability could also be a roadblock. So suppose somebody does die at this site.
Yeah. So the city attorney's office was talking about immunity on two fronts, specifically the public nuisance law, as well as protecting people from getting in trouble for drug possession. At this point, they said on those two fronts that the city and the state would have to grant some kind of immunity for this to actually function properly.
A lot of questions, including how far this little protection from possession citations will go. All right, Anusha, thank you. A day after the election, Governor-elect Jared Polis told us here that he would sign a bill to repeal the death penalty in Colorado if the Democrats, who are going to control all the legislature, want to make that happen. That would complicate the prosecution of a man accused of killing an Adams County deputy. Adams County DA Dave Young announced today that he will pursue the death penalty for Dreon Deering for the killing of Deputy Heath Gum. Deering's accused of shooting and killing Gum in an ambush in a neighborhood in Thornton in January. It was Election Day when politics and the death penalty were in obvious conflict. That was the day that Chris Watts up in Weld County agreed to life in prison for killing his family in Firestone. Prosecutors admitted that uncertainty over the future of the death penalty played a role in that case. Democrats are not officially in charge of the Colorado State Senate yet, but their botched attempt to fire the Senate's nonpartisan administrator has created a shadow government of sorts. There are now two people at the Capitol who appear to have the same job, and I can't get a straight answer from Senate Democrats on whether taxpayers are paying for both of them. This is the kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that most people just ignore. Maybe it makes you shake your head about politics, but if this is also shaking taxpayer money out of your wallet, you do deserve to know. So the incoming Democratic leadership fired the nonpartisan administrator of the Senate the day before Thanksgiving. So then her replacement starts on Monday, but she's not gone because legislative attorneys told Democrats they can't fire and hire the Senate's nonpartisan administrator without a full vote of everybody. So it's just a matter of time until the current one is gone, and yet her replacement is already there. And I still want to know if your taxpayer dollars are paying for this double duty. We'll keep trying to get answers. Nancy Pelosi will be nominated by Democrats to become Speaker of the House, but she still needs to convince some of the Democrats who voted against her today behind closed doors, including two Coloradans, Congressman Ed Perlmutter and Congressman-elect Jason Crow. Perlmutter's office tells us this closed-door caucus ballot today was set up as yes or no on Pelosi with an option for a write-in candidate. Pelosi received 32 no votes and there were 3 blank ballots. So we asked Crow and Perlmutter if they're willing to flip on their pledge to oppose Pelosi if she kicks them something in exchange. We've watched this happen with other members. Crow's office didn't directly respond to the question, but reiterated that he made that campaign promise to oppose Pelosi. Spokesman for Perlmutter says he's not looking for any personal gain here. They noted he's been calling for a change in leadership since 2016. So Pelosi faces the final vote for House Speaker when Congress gets together in January. She will need 218 votes, majority of the full House, in order to be elected. Saturday marks 1 year since 17-year-old Maggie Long died at her family's home in Bailey. That house had been set on fire. There had been a burglary. Since that time, no suspect has been named. There's been little news about progress in the case. The Venue Theater up in Conifer was a home away from home for Maggie. She acted in 3 different plays there. The theater set up a scholarship in Maggie's name and started the Maggie Long Award, given to the student who best embodies Maggie's spirit. It has been a difficult year for directors at the venue. Since Maggie's death, the curtain's drawn on 7 different productions, and the directors tell us they are reminded of her nearly every day.
So in one sense, it seems a long time ago, and then you just walk by a picture of her, or someone brings something up that it's getting close to December 1st, and it seems like almost yesterday.
But we just want closure, and somebody knows something, whether they know it or not, and that's what's frustrating.
Park County Sheriff Fred Wagner turned down our request to talk about the case. Tom McGrath takes over as the new Park County Sheriff January 8th. He was upfront that he hasn't been briefed on the status of the investigation, but told us that it will be one of his top priorities. You know, parking in downtown Denver can be a pain, and this morning somebody gummed up the works even further. They vandalized parking meters at Colfax and Osage with papers in the card slots along with what appears to be glue. If you ever come across something like this, the city says you can just treat it like a broken meter. If you report the number on the meter, you call it into 311, tell them which one is busted, you will not get ticketed for parking there so long as you follow the time limit. An older generation is entrusting their life stories to teenagers.
These are a couple of fine young people.
The old Zamboni in Evergreen is apparently getting some use while they wait for thicker ice. And Frontier Airlines offers a window seat that does not look like an upgrade.
See, my point is I was basically desperate to get here given the situation, so I didn't care if I flew out the window apparently.
Hold on. Next.
How you doing, sweetheart?
If anyone knows,
there she goes,
the difference between work and duty,
I know you're asking for.
Gene Jiggets has known ever since he met his wife, Mary.
Mary is a keeper.
He kept her through a life of secrets. In 1951, Jiggets was assigned to an elite group of 28 men working on something they called the hydrogen bomb. And now that his work is done, it is time for his duty, assisting his 93-year-old wife
in entering into dementia.
Fighting a disease that's taking her mind.
I said, one thing that I will pledge that I will never do as long as I'm able to assist. I will never put you in a home.
Because she is home.
I really didn't feel safe anymore at home.
Sometimes I wouldn't eat. It was like this hunger pain in your stomach.
It was just so lonely. I just felt like I was not important to anyone.
I never thought homelessness could happen to someone like me.
I remember coming here and I felt comfort, I felt safe.
Graduating to valedictorian, getting a job, keeping the job, it's just a good feeling.
Because I've completely turned my life around and made it into what I've always wanted it to be. There's people out there who can help. There's people out there who care. And things can get better.
If you call 1-800-RUNAWAY, you will get connected to the help you need.
It's completely fine to hear something you don't agree with and say, yeah, I still think the exact same thing. Test your own beliefs. We also want Next to be a reflection of you watching at home. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a Zamboni off-roading, or I should say off-icing, because it is on a dirt road in Evergreen. Not where you would expect to see it, though. Fritz Kerr took this photo of some Parks and Rec workers taking a test drive. Parks and Rec tells us this Zamboni needed a significant rebuild this year. It was built in the 1970s. Evergreen's used it for 20 years.
We've obviously had to do maintenance throughout the years, but this year was kind of a year where we needed to do some major repairs. So we replaced all the hydraulic lines, we flushed all the pumps, we took out the motor and refurbished it, we checked electrical systems, and then we painted and detailed it. So it got a lot of TLC this year.
And as long as weather cooperates, the ice in Evergreen should be thick enough to have people out on it. Middle of next month, it needs to be about 14 to 16 inches thick.
Snow and ice, the weather will cooperate. Our weather pattern is changing. High pressure ridge beginning to flatten out, more of a zonal or westerly flow in advance of a storm that will bring more snow to the high country and cooler weather to Denver moving into Thursday afternoon. Our high close to 60 today, about 10 degrees above average, down to 41 at the airport this hour. Winds still blowing pretty good along the foothills tonight, and you may encounter some areas of blowing snow across the Continental Divide. Winter weather and travel advisories out for the mountains and western slope. Lower elevations drop dry for 24 hours, but little pieces of energy coming in ahead of this California storm will bring us colder, unsettled weather for Friday and the weekend. The heaviest snow will fly over the higher terrain, 3 to 6 inches in the next 48 hours. Lower elevations will see flurries on Friday and maybe a little bit of light accumulating snow Sunday night into Monday. But just plan on the weekend being colder and windy and winter driving conditions up in the high country. Tonight, not bad, partly cloudy, 31. Tomorrow, a little bit cooler, that dry front coming through, so temperatures will be in the mid-40s and lower 50s. As we get you into the weekend, again, that chance for flurries for the Parade of Lights on Friday night. Cold and windy with light snow for Sunday and for Monday. Temperatures stay cold through the middle part of next week.
Looking back on the story of a life while writing its later chapters.
My mother filled us with their love and friendship, and that's all we needed.
Sharing those stories is the assignment for a class of 6th graders. Crossing the line in the airport parking garage could get expensive. And if you saw this on a plane, would you say something?
The flight attendant was walking by, and I said, what's going on here? You know, is this thing like good to go here?
Her answer, next.
Colorado, we did it again.
Colorado, you donated over 250,000 pounds of food and over $59,000. Thank you.
This is a place where everyone takes care of each other.
The whole idea of Next is that we want you to hear things and say, right on, that's what I'm thinking. And we also want you to hear things that make you squirm a little bit, make you uncomfortable, perspectives that you might not have considered, but are still thoughtful. And it's okay if you hear things that you don't like, because you're smart enough to decide whether or not you agree with it. Let's consider different perspectives. Let's give you good information so that you can make smart choices. You should expect to see and hear things that you have not seen and heard anywhere else.
Todo está bien? Did you have a good summer?
I'm on track to do something good.
Our school, come on. We love weird kids.
This is me.
That place was like, wow, it's gonna be great today.
I think that's amazing.
I want to welcome everybody.
That girl portrays determination.
That was a tight squeeze.
Oh, wow. Keeping my fingers crossed.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Strap in and hold on tight. The all-new Quest network is here. Enter the worlds of our compelling characters. Join in on amazing adventures. Witness man's most stunning conquests. And be prepared to be inspired and entertained. The best new channel on television is now on 9.5. Quest. Let's explore.
We are Broncos.
I'm a Broncos fan because we got the best team in the NFL.
My whole life I've been a Broncos fan.
Denver till we die. We bring the thunder. Bronco fans are the best.
It's probably the most exciting thing that you could ever feel.
They're the best team in the league, obviously. We got the best fans. The whole stadium shakes and everybody's jumping around and rooting and hollering. There's nothing like this crowd.
Broncos fans will always stay loyal.
We're looking forward to another Super Bowl win. This is Bronco country. We bleed orange and blue.
It's the most wonderful time of year, the 9 News Parade of Lights.
Join us downtown for this holiday tradition, November 30th and December 1st.
Or you can watch from home Friday, November 30th on 9 News.
Presented by American Furniture Warehouse and produced by the Downtown Denver Partnership. Special thanks to American Furniture Warehouse for protecting and preserving this holiday tradition. AFW is your gift-giving headquarters for the last 40 years with the best prices for furniture and accessories in Colorado. Come see how American makes beautiful homes happen for less.
We get it, you're rushing to catch your flight, but if you quadruple park at DIA, somebody saying you crossed the line might be the least of your worries. Kristen Catellus wondered if DIA's parking enforcers were going to charge this van driver for a 4 spot, because they took up 4 spots on Monday. Kristen says it kind of looks like somebody was playing parking lot bingo. It's the holidays, parking's at a premium. Don't do this to your neighbors, people. All right, we keep raising the stakes of ridiculousness with this little game, but if you think that you have a next-worthy photo, email next@9news.com. 6th graders from St. Anne's Episcopal School in Denver are being entrusted with something precious, life stories. They're chronicling the lives of residents at the Claremont Park Senior Living Facility. And our photojournalist Mike Grady brought along his camera.
Yeah.
Today we're at Claremont Park, and I have a group of 6th grade students from St. Anne's Episcopal School.
What are you doing?
We're asking you questions.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
What are the most rebellious things you did as a child?
We would, I'm going to say hitchhike. You know what it means to hitchhike?
Yeah. What was your favorite subject?
Recess.
Recess? Yeah, that's mine too.
And so there's interviewing going on with questions.
These people are asking very nice questions
that have been developed, and they're taking notes on those.
What have you dreamed of doing that you didn't do?
I did learn to fly, and I did fly in an airplane. But, you know, that was sort of a hobby on the side.
What is the hardest news you had to deliver to someone?
When my mother died, I feel like I went with her because we were always together. She was with me and I was always with her. And it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. Was say goodbye to my mother.
A way for students to understand the value of a life long lived with richness to it.
You get to see it in first person and hear about it instead of like just reading out of a book. What do you think the world needs more of right now?
Oh my, understanding, patience, the love of other people.
That's some heavy stuff for kids to work through. Listen how kind and compassionate they were. Next spring, everybody's going to get together again. They'll talk about what it was like to work together on the project, and that's when the kids will give residents their journals. So imagine sitting down, window seat, on a plane, and it appears the window is taped onto the side of the plane. What do you do? That plus your feedback next.
Hey, Denver, what happens when the most daring team in daytime takes on trending stories live? Anything and everything.
I am pro sex workers. You're crazy. I said it.
You are totally off base here. I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you. Denver, join the live conversation.
With the DBL Nation.
Daily Blast Live, the talk of what's trending. Weekdays at 1 on 9 News.
I'm Marty Caniglio, sharing Colorado's weather stories. 9 News, everywhere.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Whether you want to improve your production skills or you're just starting out, Denver Open Media can help. Classes include production, studio, editing, graphics, and animation. Learn what it takes to make your own studio show with a full crew. Learn how to properly use lights, camera, and sound. Finish editing your short film or create your own graphics. Denver Open Media is a terrific resource for you to turn your idea into a reality. Sign up today at denveropenmedia.org.
Happy birthday! That's wonderful. Thank you, dear Bree.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You make me feel so young. You make me feel so spring has sprung. And every time I see you,
You're not fooling anybody you know. Think young. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
There are heroes among us. They don't fly or bend steel or ride off into the sunset.
They simply volunteered to look after someone else's health by providing comfort, lending a hand, or simply keeping us on track. Everyone's health needs a hero. Who will you look out for?
Find out how you can participate in improving our health. Visit iparticipate.org.
Frontier Airlines, it charges for seats and for bags, but you know that tape holding up your window frame on a Frontier flight is complimentary. Eric Hess learned that this week. He was flying to Orlando. Now, Eric figured what we figured and what Frontier confirmed to us. This is a cosmetic fix for the inside of the plane's window frame. But come on now, it's a little unsettling to sit down and see something that looks like a kindergartner's craft project holding your plane together.
I made a joke to the passenger that was in the aisle seat to potentially maybe sit in the middle seat just in case I need to grab a hold of him if I start to make my way out this window. The flight attendant was walking by, and I said, what's going on here? You know, is this thing like good to go here? She said, yeah. She said, I'm here, like I'm on the plane.
It's always reassuring when the flight attendant's like, I'm here, how bad could it be? Yes, Frontier confirmed the tape was to hold up the broken window frame. They went all the way around so that nobody would cut their finger playing with it. We finished with your feedback, and so much of it about the idea of so-called safe injection sites in Denver. Dana writes in, says, I can't get behind this policy. It's basically government enabling addiction. There are better ways to use tax dollars than to help addicts with a shoot-up shelter. Dana, this is a good time to clarify. Denver City Council insists that this is going to be paid for with private dollars. They have not yet told us where those private dollars are coming from. We will keep asking the question. And Jeff Walker speaks to the concern about, is this going to go in my neighborhood? He says, I would rather have a safe injection site on my street than a dangerous injection site in the alley behind my house. Yes, indeed, it probably will be located in an area where drug abuse is already happening out in the open. We'll keep talking about it. Keep sending your questions. See you next time.